Hey guys, Paul McLean here. Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. And guys, I've got a very special guest. I say that every week, but I think this week we got a special guest. My goal and desire, man, is every week to bring you guys significant value. I value you and I want to provide value to you. In this podcast, I guess jab at any of the other guests that have ever been on the podcast, but I've never been this excited. And the reason I'm so excited is the person that's on here that I know the value that he's going to bring is going to make such a massive difference to you. It's almost like I want to pray before that. Hey, this message is personalized directly for you. That's going to be delivered, and God can just give it to you as you need to hear it. But this is somebody, guys, that has gone out there, co-founded the Dream Center. I'm going to give you some stats. Senior pastor at Angelus Temple, a New York best time selling author, The Cause Within You, which I've read the book, and I really structured a lot of I guess I got back to the basics and foundationally speaking, how to build my business from the right place. And that really helped me do that as I was, years into the business. Someone that's got a life mission to go out there and restore the lost, to bring them the lost and bring them to Christ, and has programs and systems and structures in place that we're really going to unpack, because I know it's applicable to this business and how you could build even a successful life, successful family, and successful agency in the insurance business. But somebody that's restored like 45,000 people, the Dream Center reaches, plus 550 beds are in the free program, currently houses 31 homeless families, and feeds over 40,000 a month from the food trucks. The hot kitchen every day, think about this, provides 1,000 hot meals a day to people in need. And so this is somebody that, Pastor Matthew, when I say this, I mean it. When I speak to you, I just feel loved. I mean, that's the best way. I just feel loved. I almost feel like this oneness, this connection. Yeah. I feel valued, and I'm just excited to have you on, man. So everybody, welcome Pastor Matthew Barnett.
Hey, it's good to be with you. Thank you, too.
Well, man, I'm excited. I truly am, man. And I really want to get right into this, Pastor Matthew, because there's so much that you can provide the audience as far as the path that you've walked, these teams you've built, the program you've built. And when I think about the Dream Center, and I've had the privilege and honor to be at the Dream Center quite a few times and rub shoulders with the different people that are serving in the Dream Center, the people that are going through the program, and really seeing these transformed people. I mean, these people that went from the pit of life to the palace, right? Where they just have this joy on their face. And I remember hearing some of the stories where they're talking about what they experienced in life. And I'm like, dude, I'm just like taken back and filled with gratitude and perspective of like, man, look at what they've endured. Because a lot of times we can, have self-pity and stuff, but I'm like, look at what they've gone through. And then to see their joy, I'm like, how do they have that smile after they talked about what they've been through? And I think most people in this audience that we have here today, they want to reinvent themselves as well. There's different levels to everything in life, and they want to go from where they're at to a higher level, right? They want to reinvent themselves and go to this next level. And I believe everybody has that desire. What do you believe are the fundamentals that lead to this transformation?
I think the greatest really truth of transformation here is that we just try to obliterate regret and shame right off the bat. Because when people have regret and shame, they're paralyzed in their future. They feel, why bother? That's the thing we try to eliminate, that mindset that says, why bother? I've gone too far. I've made so many mistakes. Why even try to get back into the game again? Why not try to live your purpose again? And so we just try to find people that are very, very broken and give them a lot of hope in the beginning. Because if there is hope, there's an opportunity for people to really change. And there's plenty of time to work through the process of how they got there, why they got there as you go along. But, many times I think people in this day of age, especially, they just need like an adrenaline of hope and a possibility to visit them before they can even start walking down the road of making better decisions in their life. And so that's the Dream Center. It's not like, you will never feel like it's a mission here, like a homeless shelter, because everyone's doing something, they're going somewhere. We're not afraid to tell our testimonies. We're not afraid to rise to a standard that many times we'll get to. Sometimes we need work to get there, but there's joy in the pursuit of something greater. And so I just think that the fact that there's not 1 ounce of regret or shame in the feeling of condemnation on this campus is what makes it what it is, a place where people can really start to take a deep breath and realize life is not over, and that whenever they're in that rock bottom, they can be recreated at any moment. So I think that's the great thing here. There's also not a martyr complex here of people walking around saying, oh, we're the only one who cares. And, like it's this horrible obligation. It's not a have to serve mindset. It's a get to serve mindset. And I think that's what's really changed is that we truly believe that you care, Family First cares, all your listeners care. And if you believe that everyone will care, you know what will happen? You'll get a whole lot of people that will come alongside you and believe with that winning message. And that's what we just try to give every single day.
I love that. We just came off of an annual convention, and I was telling you this, Pastor Matthew, before we hopped on that. I mean, I thought that your speech was so impactful. I think that some people kind of come across like, man, it's an impressive speech where they can impress people. You impacted people. I sat there and thought, man, this is so significant. And I think that most people, I think everybody's looking for hope, right? They want to have, hope is something that's ahead of you. If it's something that you've already achieved, well, that's accomplishment. If it's something that's behind you, well, that's regret. But the hope before you is something that somebody needs to be able to pick up, have that energy, have that passion, that desire to go out there and accomplish. And when you talk, I feel that you deliver hope. And I believe that anybody that's building an agency, they have to be good at delivering hope, because most people that are coming into Family First Life or a business, they've got a past that can say, hey, this is not going to be successful, or maybe your last failure is going to equal this next failure. How do they, what's the importance, and how do you deliver hope? Like, what's the best way you can give somebody the hope that they're looking for?
I think the hope is long suffering. You have to have a lot of patience for people. I remember when I was a kid, I was playing sports in Little League, and if I make a mistake, the first thing I would do is I would look to the coach and say, to see if I'd be taken out of the game. But the best coach that I had would look at me and said, I believe in you. You're not coming out of the game. He would allow me to play through the mistakes of life. And I think that's kind of what great coaches do, rather than just pull the hook immediately when they make a mistake. You leave them in the game. And a lot of the people that we work with every single day are people that have so much raw energy and passion to make a difference, but they just need someone to be there to guide them and give them, all the principles to succeed. But at the same time, give them the opportunity to succeed and to fail. And that's what happens at the Dream Center. We allow people to work through different things in their life and where they're going. And we don't have a quick hook to pull them out. If they're making a conscious effort to go forward and making common mistakes that we all make. And so that's kind of how great leaders are born, through that faith and belief. I think also there's a sense here of anything is possible at any moment because we take a risk on risky people. We're not afraid to step out and tap someone on the shoulder and say, you're up at the bullpen. Yeah, that's what I like about the convention, man. You get people up there speaking like that, and being in the back of the stage of the convention is pretty awesome, because you get to see people that are new and they're pacing back and forth and they're trying to fire themselves up. And I'm back there telling every single one of them, you're going to hit it out of the park. And because I know what it's like, to be thrown into a scenario that is so far outside what you can do. But that's the key of life. The key is to create miracle space. What is that? It's a space between what you can do, what you can't do, where you need God to make up the difference of that space. And so it's not doing what you can do and patting yourself on the back. It's creating miracle space between what you can do and can't do. And that, I think that's what makes the Dream Center so special, is that we really challenge, 80% of our staff are graduates of our drug and alcohol rehab program. And so as a leader, as a manager, you have to realize what is a mistake that people make that is a falling forward moment, versus a real intentional mistake that might require, other action. But most of the time, people are pursuing in good faith, trying to go forward, and they're making mistakes along the way. If they have a leader that believes them and says, I've been down that road. My dad's an 85-year-old pastor. He's been in ministry for 60 years. He's been speaking. And every time he tells me a story, when I fail at something, he always tells me the story of a man that he knew growing up who made the same mistake. And every time I know how the story is going to end, and it's always him. I was the one who made that mistake. And so I think that as a leader, when you're vulnerable, then your leadership really becomes valuable. And that's what we just try to have around here, just a lot of vulnerability.
I love that. And, I can attest to that in my career. doing this for 16 years now, sometimes that one little word of somebody that's kind of gone the path before me, right? That's already accomplished the hope that I've got. Like, I want to get to this place in my business. And when they can just say, hey man, that's normal. I've been there, cause it's so easy to let that one moment, that one situation kind of start to redefine who you are and who you see yourself to be. And then now you're set yourself up on a path to failure. And so, I mean, I think that's such a big deal to be that source of hope for others. And Pastor Matthew, when you're talking about delivering this hope to the people that enter into the programs, what is the message of hope? Like, how do you cast the vision that allows them to let off these I guess these weights of shame and guilt and despair? Like, what's the message that gives them this hope and the vision that tomorrow is going to be better than today?
I think it's a lot of positive peer pressure. I mean, people come into the program and they see people who are at levels that they could possibly be in. And so you just create a culture where people come in, they're just surrounded by winners everywhere. And so they don't come in with their head down. They're like, whoa, this guy was like on meth 3 months ago and he's on fire. This guy is doing this. And so that positive peer pressure creates unbelievable transformation. It's incredible what happens when you come into an environment that you can't control, but the energy is positive. We're all winning and we're going to help you win. They just get swept up in that culture, and they almost have no choice but to really do something great or to go backwards. But there's no middle ground. But most of the time, they choose that desire to go forward. So creating that positive peer pressure, getting around a lot of people who are speaking the language of possibility, and so that's the difference. It's not you come in and 70% of the people are failing. There's a couple successes. It's like everyone's succeeding. You're the new guy. The cool thing to do is to do great things. The positive here, like if you're not pursuing this, you're the outcast.
Well, Pastor Matthew, I got to say this because as you're talking, I remember this. I was walking through the Dream Center with you, and this guy, he was walking by. He said, I think he said something like, he said, PM, I love you, or something like that, right? We had just gone through the cafeteria, right? And he was working in the cafeteria. And I said, how do you, and he had like a teardrop on his face, and you started telling me about his story, where he had just been there it wasn't very long, it was a couple weeks, and he was kind of helping out. And you told me, I said, how do you do that? How do you get somebody that a month ago they're on the streets and they would never do something like that? On the streets, it was, you want to have this wall up, you want to have this hardness about you. And I said, how do you do that? Do you remember what you told me? Or go to, it was basically that. It was, you create an environment that it's cool to be sincere, to be kind, to be loving. And over there, you're the outcast if you're that on the streets. And so that was, to me, revolutionary. I was like, that's such a big deal with creating the right culture that's going to allow growth to happen.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes, a guy will come to the program and you're like, how you doing? He'll just go, you know what I mean? And that's what he did on the street, just puts up, And then about 6 months later, you see the walls come down, and then they turn full on nerd on you. I mean, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. Let me give you a hug. It's like, that's not the same guy who came in. But I think many times, when those walls start coming down, we've had so many amazing things that happen that would never happen out there in the world, where guys that were, one day we had one room where 3 guys were staying together that were natural enemies. One guy who was a skinhead who was down Huntington Beach. We had another guy that was from East LA, gang member, and then we had a South Central gang member. And they hated each other, but we put them in the same room. And they began to succeed. The reason why was they suddenly had a common battle, and that was their addiction. Their battle wasn't all the little things in the world that held them back, or neighborhoods or zip codes. It became the addiction. And by the time it was done, we couldn't separate them because they were so moved by, they were attacking a common goal, a common dream to get free. And that's the beauty of when you get everyone going towards something great, everyone going towards a common goal. And sometimes it's very simple, is to live in freedom. Everything starts happening. All these side issues start to happen. Reconciliation starts to happen. People from different neighborhoods, wealthy people that tried $60,000 a month programs that didn't work for them up in Malibu are coming to the hood, and they're staying in like a bunk with a guy that was on living on Skid Row, and it's just, that's what happened. It does. Culture breaks down every walls and belief and possibility. And then they get people coming into their life all the time to speak to them and pour into them. And yeah, it's incredible. And that's one of the things that I believe that, we treat rehab like it's a university, not like a place where people are just coming to just, try to get off the street. Like, we really believe we give them a big vision of what life can be right when they come in. Because if people don't have a big vision, there's no self-control. So you got to give them something awesome to live for, shine the hope of possibility, even though it seems so hard. That's what my dad did to me. My dad was so crazy. When I was a kid, he'd drive me around 15 years of age and be like, we need to start looking for a church for you to pastor. I'm like, Dad, I'm 15 years old. He goes, oh, you can do it. At 16, I'm like, are you kidding me? But he was always erring on the side of anything can be done. And I think a lot of that got passed through to many people on campus.
That's so good, man. And, Pastor Matthew, as I look at, even like to start up a Family First Life, it was a group of people that said, hey, we're going to go after changing the insurance industry. We're going to transform the way this industry has been set in place. And that mission allowed us to go through, these struggles and adversities and these roadblocks that kind of come your way when you're trying to do something big and something great. It allowed us to hurdle over those with this passion and excitement that, we were going to get past this and the victory was before us because we had such a great mission. It was like a band of brothers, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of us came from different groups and, organizations that didn't see eye to eye and stuff, but we had that one thing that united us, which was, hey, we're going to go after this insurance industry. We're going to set up people where they have the best chance to succeed for their family. And it was this mission that we were on. And there was something about it, man, where it just brought joy, even though we were going through the pain of building. It was like that pain produced, purpose and passion that allowed us to go out there and just keep striving to new levels. And I think that's how the company was built was, hey, let's go after this battle or this common adversary of poverty. Let's give the American person an opportunity to go out there with all these objective things, high comp and leads. That's going to give this person a true shot to succeed. And I just think about on the way to that, the different opportunities and doors that were open for me to step up into the next level of leadership, right? And I think everybody on here, whoever you're talking to, whoever's on your team, to tee them up to that next level, whether that's saying, hey, I want to have you open up the meeting, or, hey, I want to introduce you to this person, speaking, life over them, or speaking good about them behind their back, right? Mm-hmm. Saying, hey, did you hear about this person? They're going to do really good. And all these little things where you just create this love and this positive energy and environment where it starts to tee this person up. And I think about like when that's worked or when we've had great growth, it's when we're intentional with that, saying, how do I shine the light and highlight this person to the next level they can be? What opportunities can I give them that tell me or show them that I believe that they can do it? And man, that's exactly what, as you're breaking it down, I'm connecting the dots, thinking like, that's what really kind of helped us get to where we are is these things. And, Pastor Matthew, your program, you guys have been in the Dream Center for how many years now? How long have you been leading?
29 years this September.
Okay. That's like, I think about that, like you look at Georgia and Alabama, some of these college programs that they just always win. They never suck, right? They're always right there. And the one thing you point to is if they're always winning consistently over a long period of time, they got a really good program. Like you can't say their program sucks, the kids are really talented. No. The program is really good. And so that's a testament of the programs that you've put in place to rehabilitate this many families and individual people. What do you think's helped your program be so successful?
I think the most important thing is knowing what your personality is and not being ashamed of leading in that way. Years ago, I went to a football practice at USC, and back when the dominant years, they were winning all the games, and I noticed at practice that it was different. Like they had loud music on, and they allowed people to watch their practices, and just it was very like fun. And they would the coach would jump in the drills with them, and it was very different. And then there's other practices in some of the places down south where they're very structured, disciplined. Where it's like. But they were both so different. I thought, this is weird. They're both champions and they're kind of different in how they function. And I realized that the disciplined teams wouldn't make as many mistakes. And USC led the nation in penalties. But the whole thing, what they were saying was USC is we're just going to play free. We're going to hit people later, probably out of bounds, and we're going to make a lot more mistakes, but we're going to just bank on the fact that playing in freedom, we're actually going to make more dynamic plays to offset that. And I thought, wow, that's just kind of interesting how that's one thing I've learned in leadership is everyone's style is different. Like everyone, like some will dress up more in their offices, some are more casual, some are, but just find what your leadership style is and flourish in it. If you are an encourager, just go all in and just be an encourager. Just maximize that strength, roll with that strength. If your strength is structure, be the best structured person because you're going to flourish within that structure. And so I think one of the things is I think we all try to maybe conform into a certain leadership model because it worked for someone else. But just be who you are. When we built the church, I was trying to say, okay, we have the Dream Center. So on the church side will be something else, because we need to get people from all across the city to come in. And I remember one day, Pastor Stephen Furtick told me, he goes, you guys just are all about outreach and serving people. He goes, just build your church that way. Just, people will come from the outside. Some will, some won't. It won't be for everybody. But you'll get people who will drive in who just want to be a part of that mission style church. So just be that church that buses in people and has families that drive in and just unashamedly just be exactly the kind of leader God's created you to be. You will always flourish when you just don't put on any facade and you say, this is my gifting, and be excited about it, be proud of what the Lord has given you, and celebrate other people's leadership styles. And I think that's why I love Family First Life. There's so many different personalities, so many different types of leaders. And I've been to some that are very successful, that were just really calm. Some are really animated and upbeat. But it's just, that's the way it is. It's just once you be who you are and you're unashamed about that is who God has made you to be, then you can really start developing great leaders. And then you'll find people within your organization that have things that you don't have that can actually help you maybe grow in certain parts of your life. But rather than try to fix something that doesn't come natural and work on that all the time, which we always do, continue to be strong in what you do well and never look back in it.
God, man, I'll tell you what, Pastor, I just love you. I absolutely love you. I think that what you just said right now lifted off a lot of weight from people that they were carrying it. I even felt it as you were communicating, it's so easy to try to be somebody else because that person may be at a place where you want to get to and you think I got to conform and match that personality or that person. And I think that can still your gift set and the joy that you have and what God's created you to have. And I just think that what you just said, man, was so powerful and lifted off the weight off so many people that are going out there and they've given up their authenticity to try to be somebody and chase something that is not, it doesn't require that. And I think about my when I was just in the zone when it came to serving families, there's seasons of times where you're just like, man, I just feel like, I'm not concerned about what they're going to say or not say. I'm just in the zone. Like, I just feel like I'm getting yeses nonstop because I'm just authentic. I'm real. I'm connecting. And I think that's when you have the most fun. And I remember having those periods of time where it was like months and months were going, and I was just like, it was like this oneness with my clients. Like, I didn't have to build rapport. My rapport was found in my authenticity and just loving the person and getting to know them and connecting with them and caring about finding the plan that was going to best fit for them. And that's when I was thriving and flourishing the most when it came to a personal producer. And then on the business side, the same thing when I was just authentic. Because I'm an encourager. I mean, I just love encouraging. I love highlighting people. This is what I do. I love exhortation and speaking life over people but trying in times to try to model and fit something else when it wasn't, growing the way I wanted to. It almost think like, oh, I got to change who I am and fit this. And that's where despair and almost separation came because I was working out of what I was intended to work out of. And I just think that that's such a powerful point. You just said that for anybody on here, find what you love, because if you love to be an encourager, like you said, Pastor. If you love, to have more fun or love the discipline and the structure of it, well, then work within that. Because if you don't, then you start losing the love of what you're doing, and then you start coming up with, really, I guess, artificial things that just still the joy and the results that you actually want in the first place.
Yeah, when I came to LA, I literally, I feared everything. I was 20 years old. I feared the high rises. I feared the signs in the neighborhood. I feared the streets. I feared everything. And so I was just going into situations failing because I was so full of fear. And one day, God just spoke to me and said, perfect love casts out all fear. You can't fear what you choose to love. So I just decided to love. And I was going to sound crazy, but I used to look at the high rises and I say, I love you, LA. I used to look at the streets and say, I love you, Temple Street, or I love you, all the ones that I saw gang members on. I started to love the things that were around me that I feared. And what happened was I would go into situations with love and faith, and I would start winning. The tide was changing. It wasn't about, I guess that's why the Bible talks about like a minister, or when it talks minister, it's all of us, but person ought not to strive. Because striving is a tough place to be in, because you're playing from a position of not wanting to fail. But when you go in there and say, I'm going to go into this house, I want to make this deal done because I know it's going to help people long term. It's going to help them. But I've just already decided before I go in there, the kind of attitude, disposition. Never wait till situation to give you joy. You decide before you go into something that you already have the victory. And either way, you're going to walk out of that. Your encounter is going to be better. And boy, you're just going to flourish in your assignments that way. It's just, I guess it's called just being a prisoner of great expectations, and it's just going into that place and just believing every single day that something good's going to come out of this encounter. And I think we know what's best for people, but we're going to go in there and realize that something good is going to happen. And sometimes that seed might be sown. It might come back later. Someone say, yeah, remember that conversation we had? Or people always ask us at the Dream Center, what is your success rate? And I always tell them 100%. Now, the real number is like 70%, graduate rehab program and all that. But I always say 100% because the word of God does not return void. It's always working in someone's life, and someone's always remembering that encounter. So you're doing a good thing, and just remember that when you go into these places.
I love that. It's so good. And I think that probably most people on here would agree, like the central principle of the universe is love, right? And I think, like I said earlier, Pastor Matthew, when I speak to you, I feel the love, it just exuberates out of you. And I think love makes us more like God. I think when you look at, love, I think the way you can identify love is probably by sacrifice, right? God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. I mean, he took on human flesh and blood. He went to the cross, sacrificed his life, and then was raised from the grave. I mean, so like that sacrifice shows the love. The question I have for you is, when things don't go the way you want, the thing that you're loving doesn't seem to love you back. Whether that's the clients, right? Man, I've been saying I love these clients. I love them, but I keep having no sales and I don't love them. It's hard for me to love these agents, man. I'm hiring these agents, recruiting them, and I have this belief that they could do big things and they're the right person and they don't do anything, and I'm frustrated. And like, so when the thing that you are loving doesn't love you back, how do you continue to love it? Because I believe that's essential for things to grow, is to be birthed out of love. So how do you do that when they're not loving you back and it's not going the way you want? How do you continue to love?
That is such a great question. I think the difference is a burden versus a call. Burdens come and go based on feelings, feeling appreciated, feeling like you're getting back what you give. I've been there in times of my life where I said, I wish people would appreciate all that I've done for others, but that's a burden. But if you just fall in love with the call, like I'm called to do this, the call will stay, burdens will come and go. And when you realize that you're called to your business and your company to make a difference, that will keep you during the hard times when things don't love you back. That will keep you going when no one's patting you on the back and you're like, I am working so hard and I'm helping so many people, not only this company and everyone else, but at the same time, it's the call that keeps you going. See, the call, at the end of the day, when you go to bed, just the doing of right carries with it its own reward. And that's what living a life for a call is versus a burden. Burdens are nice, but my whole life is I live to an audience of one. Anything that I get from others is a bonus. It's wonderful, but everything, once you narrow it down to living to an audience of one, you'll never be discouraged, and everything in life becomes a bonus. And it's wonderful living life that way because you're just secure in that place. And so the difference, there's days in my life where I can care less about LA. I get up and the burden's not there. And I look around here and I think to myself, we have a $105 million hospital we can sell. I'm sure there's hurting people in other cities, that we could build even a bigger building, maybe somewhere with $105 million. And I get grumpy, I get discouraged, I get frustrated. But that's okay, because that's the burden side of me, speaking. But the call side is locked in and sealed, that my love for the people of LA is greater than how I feel on a given basis. You can't trust your feelings. They come and go. But when you're called to do what you're doing, to reap a harvest in the business of Family First Life, so that you can make a difference in your family, your neighborhood, friends, whatever it may be, places like the Dream Center or other places, that's just the greatest way to live your life. Just decide that you're called, and that brings longevity to it, and that will keep you going.
I love that. Such a beautiful answer. And, just so good. I absolutely love you. This has been so good. I think everybody on here, usually I say, hey, make sure to share this. I think everybody's just already shared this, and it's like, I was thinking about this story, Pastor Matthew, as you were talking, so I have five kids, right? And somebody said, you love kids? I said, no, man, I love my wife. So that's why I got 5 kids. But, one of them, and it was Penelope. She's got the energy, passion. Yeah. She's trying to figure out what works. And when she says stuff, can she get a reaction? And the other night she told my wife, she said, Mom, I don't love you. And she loves my wife. She just knew that it would get a reaction out of her, Yes, yeah. And so we're going to bed, and I said, I love you, sweetie. She said, well, I don't love you. And I said, well, that's okay. I got enough love for the both of us.
Oh, that's great.
And she said, well, okay, Dad. Well, I do love you, and the reality is what I knew, she was just looking for a reaction. And at the end of the day, right now, I think what's most important for her is to know that she's loved, not to figure out, what is love and do I love, but when you understand that you're loved, then I believe you have a better understanding of how to love. And I think that's what you do every day for the people that enter these programs. They get an understanding that they're loved, that no matter where they came from, what they've gone through, what they've done, they're just loved. There's nothing that's conditional. There's nothing that's tied to it, that you just simply still love them. And I think that gives them the opportunity to really identify and understand how to love back. And I think that when you love others and you give love, that's the foundation to build a whole successful life. That's what the scripture said, is go, love your God and love your neighbor. And you guys have done that. And I think that it's been such a great example for all of us. I think that you look at the Dream Center and what you guys have created with really a volunteer army, even with the church, it's a volunteer army for the most part. And then I think that's how to me, that's the highest form of leadership in learning how to lead, is watching somebody that's done that doesn't have people following because of a title or because they're paying them or anything, but they're following because they're inspired to follow them. They're following because of the mission and the crusade that they're on, and they want to be influenced by that person to go after the same thing. And that's why when I listen to you, read your book, when I get around you, I'm always trying to figure out how to lead at a better level, because you've done that. And when you look at running an insurance agency, it's a volunteer army. They're all independent contractors. You can't say you have to go do this because I'm your boss. They're like, what? Because I'm a boss. They're all independent. They're all building their own business. And so, man, I just really value the relationship. You've been, I think, an integral part of the growth that Family First Life has had. And I know for myself, absolutely, I can speak to that. And what I want to do is this: every single week we do a drawing. We have comments that come in. Usually there's 100 comments or what have you on the average podcast, and we'll pick 4 winners that win $250 in lead money. Today we're going to do it a little different. All right. So if somebody's like, man, I love this cause, I want to help with this cause. And what I realized a long time ago, in fact, I remember sitting down and talking to John Maxwell, and I said, I'm thinking about going into ministry and things like that. I'm passionate. I love it. It's something that I just enjoy. I love speaking at the church. I do it periodically. And I said, He said, well, you know what? Don't ever underestimate your gift set and ability to build a business to create revenue and how much you can give back and what that means. You might not be the feet on the floor, at the Dream Center necessarily that's serving the meals and things like that. But if you're contributing and empowering and resourcing a mission to go out there and get the gospel out, or get the mission, or get people served. He said that might be significantly more than what you're thinking you could do just by stepping out of what you're doing in this business. And he said that, I said, wow, it was so freeing, because it almost felt like I had accomplished, some things in the business, and I was going into this different season. I thought maybe that's where I need to move to. And what I realized is that, as I stepped back and started to give more and more and more, 10%, above 10%, giving first offerings, that, God, you can't outgive God, that he'll continue to bless you, and everybody has the opportunity to do that with the Dream Center. You can partner with them by giving back to them. You go to thedreamcenter.org, and what we're going to do today is anybody that donates, and I don't care what the amount that you donate is, it's like the poor, widow that gave the 2 copper coins. Well, she gave more than all these other people, right? So I was a guy that gave $100, and that was half my net worth, 15 years ago. And more, and my business probably went negative that week. And so I understand that. And I've been a guy that has been blessed to be able to give 6 figures in a given year to a church. And so no matter what it is, just the fact that you're giving and the generosity is going to bless you. And it's not going to be a blessing from me or Pastor Matthew. It's going to be a blessing from God that he'll give you. And so anybody that donates, just put in the comments, I donated. That's it. I was blessed to be a blessing. I donated. Doesn't have to be the amount. We're going to draw a winner, and the winner, we'll drive 5 winners, and each winner is going to win $1,000
Wow.
in lead money. Right. So you can take this week and make it better than last week. We had a lot of people, Pastor Matthew, that had come up at the convention, said, man, I won from the comment, and that $250. Like, I know it didn't seem like a lot, but, and I had a couple people come up in tears, which really kind of gave me perspective on how, some stuff, I guess I overlooked the value of it. And they said that $250 in lead money, it saved my business. I wouldn't be here at this event. And they kind of told me about their season, the situation they're in when they won it. And so I know it makes a big difference. And so today we're going to do 5 winners, not 4. And we're going to have $1,000 per winner go to them for lead money. And so all you got to do is put I donated. We'll put you in a drawing, and we'll draw those out. And so you can donate today at dreamcenter.org. Pastor Matthew, I love you, man. I appreciate you more than you ever know. What you do makes such a massive difference. It impacts everybody that's around you. And I appreciate you for that. And so, guys, let's make it a massive week. The most spiritual thing you could do is your power to choose. You can say, well, what about prayer and reading the Bible? Well, there's a prerequisite to that. It's called choosing to do those things. So today, choose to go out there and level up, choose to be strong, choose to stay steadfast, and make it a massive week. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Bye-bye.
What's going on, guys? You know what time it is. We're giving away $250 worth of lead credit to 4 lucky people. So if you commented on last week's video featuring Isaiah Tadimi, I'm really bad at pronouncing names. If you commented on last week's video, you're automatically entered to win. So comment on this video right now so you can be entered to win next week. And as you saw in this video, donate to the LA Dream Center. We're going to have a link in the description of this video. Donate to the LA Dream Center and comment, I donated, for your chance to win $1,000. We're giving 5 people next week $1,000 of lead credit each just for donating to the Dream Center. Pastor Matthew's doing awesome stuff. So help out a good cause. Donate to the Dream Center. Without further ado, this week, let's see who our first out of 4 winners is for $250 worth of leads. Ian Sanders is our first winner. I really want to grow my business, and this was great. Those little milestones are so important in helping people to meet their goals, see their potential, and encouraging them to do more is fire. Our second winner is Matthew Jenkins, subscribed and now commenting. Our third winner is Abby Giovanni. I love how you broke it down to daily to-dos and achieve the big weekly, monthly, and yearly goals. This was powerful to help me set up the roadmap to get to my destiny. Thank you, Paul and Isaiah. And our fourth and final winner for this video is Heather Holcomb. Every week, this is the start of my week. Guys, it's that simple. Leave a comment every week. We do this drawing every week, but this time is really special. Donate to the LA Dream Center. The link is going to be in the description. Donate to the Dream Center. Comment, I donated on this video, so you could win potentially $1,000 worth of leads. That is huge. That's a week's worth of leads right there, just for donating to the Dream Center. So go and donate, help out the Dream Center and every amazing thing that they're doing. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care.